Hey everyone, I'm Melissa from Knitting the Stash, and this is episode 148 in the series. Welcome back to the yarn room. It's lovely to see all of you. It is a perfectly non-summery summer day outside, so it's not super hot up here in the yarn room. We had a front come through. It's like 70 degrees outside. It's beautiful. So I decided to come up here and spend a little time with you. I am calling this episode the color episode because I'm doing all kinds of fun things with wool of different colors. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Rainbows and needle felting and all kinds of stuff. So what do I usually tell you? Oh, I usually tell you where you can find me. That is Knitting the Stash everywhere, here on YouTube, over on Ravelry, Instagram, and on the main website, which is knittingthestash.com. That's where you can find all my classes. I have a lot of online classes. I have a yarn shop over there, the Flock Farm Yarn Shop, and yeah, you can just kind of connect over there. I do have a quick update for the shop. For those of you who have been buying fiber, thank you. It's wonderful that all this like local fiber is going out. The leaf livestock fiber, I have a little bit left, so if you're interested in that, they're beautiful kind of grays and browns, but Joanne Mackey of Georgia Rustic Wool sent over some beautiful Gulf Coast native roving, and it's all, I have massive bumps of this stuff, so I can break you off lots and lots or just a little. So I think on the website I have it as low as like 2 ounces and as much as like a pound or more. So this is beautiful Gulf Coast native roving. You can see it has a little bit of VM because the sheep were happy in the pasture. It's really nicely set up as roving, so it's very easy to kind of draft apart for spinning. It's wonderful. I didn't even announce this. It went in the shop a couple weeks ago, and a bunch of you went over there and already purchased pounds of this stuff. So I hope you're enjoying it. And for anyone else who would like to get their hands on some Gulf Coast native breed-specific roving, like I said, I have massive quantities of it from Joanne Mackey. It is gorgeous stuff. Really love having this fiber in the shop, especially for some of these breed-specific sheep. It's just really cool. So that's what's happening over in the shop. Online classes are still going on. The special for the summer is still going on. The coupon is Summer School. If you want to take a class with me about beginning modification or creative modification or sweater cloning, those are all classes that I offer online. You go at your own pace. They're not live classes, so you buy them, and then you can take your time going through the lessons. There are lots of worksheets and really fun stuff, tons of videos that go with those classes. So I hope you're enjoying them. Those of you who are in those classes, I love interacting with you. Please leave comments and continue to kind of let me know how things are going. And if you've not taken a class with me, I would love to see you in the classroom. So head on over to knittingthestash.com and check out those classes. Use the code SUMMERSCHOOL and you will get a nice discount for the summer. Yay. What else do I usually tell you at the beginning? Oh, usually I say, I totally like blanked on this one, but if you're new, welcome. We just went through a lot of different things, assuming that you knew me and you knew what the podcast was about. This is largely a podcast about sweaters, sweater knitting, modification, design, all that kind of stuff. I do have a super secret test knit in the background here today, which is what I've actually been working on for quite some time, but I do have a mini sweater for you guys today. I thought I'd show you a work in progress. This is a sweater for my granddaughter, and I have some needle felting. And for those of you coming back, it's lovely to see you. Thanks for always hanging out, leaving comments, and checking out each of these episodes. So let's just jump right in. I am in the middle of the rainbow sweater for my granddaughter. As those of you who tuned in on the last episode know, I saw the grandkids a couple weeks back, and we talked all about rainbows. So the oldest granddaughter is going to be 4, and she was just wearing every color in the rainbow when I saw her. So I said, would you like a rainbow sweater? And she said yes. So I've been working on a rainbow sweater, and it has been an interesting journey. I thought I'd show you the work in progress because there's a lot kind of going on with this one. This is the back piece. It's a sweater in pieces. So this is kicking it old school. For those of you who used to knit without circular needles or knit flat in pieces, or you still like doing that kind of thing, this is the sweater that I am working on. It is the Gartrell Pullover by Tanis Lavallee of Tanis Fiber Arts. And she did this sweater as I believe there's a cardigan version, And then this is the pullover version. And this pattern goes from like 0, like a baby size, all the way up to adult sizes. So it is like inclusive to the max, which I really love. And once I started making this, Spencer, my husband, was like, I kind of want a rainbow sweater too. I think everybody needs a rainbow sweater. This does look maybe, I mean, it wouldn't fit me, but it does look a little bit big because I was talking to her mom and my daughter-in-law, and I'm like, how do I refer to everybody here? My daughter-in-law, and we talked about sizing, and we thought the best thing to do is to size up. So this might end up being like a tunic length, but I think that'll work because then you can kind of grow into it. She can kind of grow into it. And the size 6 to 8, I was trying to do, it's hard to knit sweaters for people when you don't have them around. Like you can't just grab a measuring tape and say, hold still a second. So I'm going from what my granddaughter's, the size clothes that she wears, and she's going to be 4, but she's tending to wear size 5. And so I was going over children's sizing charts, and we all know, I've talked in here about sizing charts before. Sizing charts are just like, they're kind of like a mortal enemy and a best friend at the same time, a frenemy perhaps. So they're wonderful because they give you some kinds of numbers to shoot for, but they're also problematic for like so many different reasons that many designers will tell you about nowadays. But that's all I have to go on is the size of clothes that she's wearing and the sizing chart, and then what sizes are available in the pattern. Of course I could modify, and I've done a little bit of that, but so this is the 6 to 8. So that's why it looks a little bit large and long. I'm very curious about the armhole depth because this armhole depth, I actually took a couple rows out and it's looking like it's coming in at about, I think it's supposed to come in at about 5.5 inches. It might be coming in at more like 6. So we'll have to see how that goes when I do all the assembly. I'm not quite sure about that. The one place where there is some room for adjustment in this it's raglan construction, so it's you're decreasing every right side row. So there's not really a lot of room for like changing that around so much. But you can see down here, I think, yeah, maybe, at the very beginning of the armhole, you do work straight for, a certain number of rows. I can't remember exactly what it was. So the thing to do, if this looks a little bit funny in the end, would be to start the decreases much sooner so that the armhole itself would be shallower. But I'm going from, again, the children's sizing chart and the sizing information I have. So we'll just see. It also can be bigger, and that's okay. Like, my daughter-in-law is expecting it to be a little bigger, and we'll talk to my granddaughter about that so that, she's not too disappointed. I just want her to have it's hard because I want her to have a sweater that fits her and she can wear, but also one that isn't going to be too small and she can only wear for like a second. So yeah, we're in a gray area here. We're doing our best. So this is the back piece, as you can see. It goes all the way up to the neckline. I'll put it on me. It's actually almost long enough for me. And the yarn I'm using is the Knit Picks DK Swish, which is a superwash merino. And I think I mentioned this on the last episode. I'm writing a chapter right now about superwash. And so this was like a really weird purchase. It's like one of those moments where your life and your like work and research like completely intersect. So this is a 100% superwash merino wool, DK weight. So each skein is, what is this? This is like 123 yards for 50 grams. So I was able to buy a bunch of different colors because it comes in such small sizes. And I think I ended up with like, like 15, 16 different colors. So they're not like traditional rainbow colors. So, it doesn't go from like yellow to orange to red to, like the traditional Regibiv kind of thing. So I hope she's not too disappointed about that. But I thought, given what she was wearing, that she would just like all of the different color variation that we've got going on here. I have heard from a few knitters. I don't often use Knit Picks yarn anymore, not because obviously I see a place for it. It's just I tend toward the more woolly kind of 100% wool yarns. I try to support like local and small makers. But for this, I really wanted a superwash yarn, and Tanis Fiber Arts, which She offers an eco wash, which is a real interesting, again, I'm writing a chapter about this. It's an interesting kind of process to think about. And if you're interested, you can go check out Dunkelgrun did a couple episodes on superwash yarn. And I believe she talked about the eco wash in there, or the pure wash. I think it's pure wash that Tanis Fiber Arts uses. They're on summer break, so I can't go get Tanis Fiber Arts yarn. O Wool, which is another great supplier of the eco wash yarn, or the eco wash or pure wash yarn, has gone out of business. So it's a little tricky to support small makers and dyers with superwash yarn sometimes for this particular kind of project where I need a lot of different colors in a DK weight. Anyway, this was my yarn dilemma. So I went to Knit Picks. I love all the colors, but I was warned that this yarn does pill. So, you know, it's one of those things where you want to give a gift knit and you want them to be able to wash it because, I mean, there are like many children in the household. There are 3 kids in the household, including a baby, and I do not want her having to hand wash sweaters. So this is why we went with the superwash from Knit Picks. It has its place. I've knit plenty of blankets out of Knit Picks yarn. It's a great yarn for blankets. Things that need to be used a lot and thrown in the washing machine. So right now, I love the way this is coming out. All the different colors are kind of blending together beautifully. It's very crisp. I think you can see that on the, I hope you can see that on screen. The definitions between each of the colorwork rows are very crisp, and the transitions between the colors are really fun. One of the things I discovered with this sweater as I was trying to plan my colors, I did the first bit here pretty much to match what Tanis's version is. So if you look at Tanis's adult version, she pretty much goes up to something like this, I think, for most of the sweater. Maybe there's a little bit more that's very similar. But I saw someone else who had made the 6 to 8 size, and it's really important. I talk about proportion on here a lot with sweaters if you're going to do modifications. And the proportions of this matter. So for Tanis's adult version, the ribbing on the bottom is 2 inches, and each of the color stripes is 2 inches. Proportion, right? Kind of keeping the same going all the way up. But for the smaller sizes, there's only 1 inch of ribbing at the bottom. So I thought it was really smart. The 6 to 8 size that I saw on one of the project pages, and I can't remember who it was, basically took that to heart and was like, 1 inch here means 1 inch stripes. So I thought that was really smart. It just meant that I needed more colors than what Tanis had done in the adult sweater, which I said, like I said, it goes up to, you know, somewhere, I think she had 12 colors in the whole sweater. I have, how many are here? 17? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, yeah, 17 colors. So I needed like 5 more colors. And so I just went with my own gut on the palette up here, and I kind of like it. I think it's really cute. And I thought that my granddaughter would like having the hot pink here at the top to kind of give it a little pop, but then some other really fun muted colors all the way down. So yeah, so that's the back. And I'm in the middle, not middle, I'm almost to the armpits for the front section. And then I'll knit the sleeves, and then you sew the whole thing together. So it should be pretty fun to do. I'm very curious, like I said, about the armhole thing going on here. And I'm always a little nervous. Like mattress stitch isn't so hard, but when you have stripes and you're trying to line them up, I thought about doing this in the round, you know, but for some reason I was like, I'm gonna do it in pieces just because I haven't done a sweater in pieces in years. So I want to make sure that I actually line up the colors well. So I have been doing, you know, the exact same number of rows for each color, so that'll help. And I want it to really kind of work out. So we'll see how that goes with the sleeves. The fun thing about this sweater, aside from all the colors, is that the sleeves are actually, the way I'm going to do them and the way Tanis did them and the way this other project knitter did them, the sleeves are actually a different order of color. So the body is the same on the front and the back, but the sleeves use similar colors with a couple other ones thrown in, and then they do different colors all the way up. So it's really interesting. I think that adds a certain element of like, it makes it into more of like a classic sweater That's why I think you can make it for adults as well as kids. Like a kid's sweater that was just same stripe all the way down the body and the arms, it has a certain look to it which feels a little like juvenile or something if you do that. But if you mix up the colors on the sleeves and do the front and the back in the same kind of patterning, there's something about that. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like, how do you choose your rainbow colors? Like, how do you choose your palette? And then how do you choose which colors come first and second? I know Tanis pays a lot of attention to color because she's someone who dyes a lot of yarn and she loves color theory. And so I was trying to study the way that she put her sweater together in terms of the colors. And one of the interesting things I thought that she did is she doesn't just reverse everything on the sleeves, but she does do a couple of reversals for the key colors, it seems like. So she does have a kind of black and white stripe in the middle of the main body. And on the sleeve, she has a black and white stripe, but it's inverted and it's a little bit higher, just to kind of offset it. And then she has the yellow down in the ribbing, if I'm remembering right. And then she does a pop of yellow on the sleeves, but not at the cuffs. So it's like there's a distribution of color that she's kind of working on that I really like. And the person, the project page that I was kind of cribbing from in terms of like looking at this 6 to 8 size, was also doing some really cool things with color. So yeah, I'm not a color theory kind of person. I've studied it, I've tried to understand it, I've bought the books, I've read the books, I've listened to the videos, I've taken Felicia Lowe's class, and I kind of have some basic understanding of color. And I feel like the sweaters that I produce that have multiple colors, like Fair Isle and things like that, color work, they go together well. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I'm not halfway decent at color, but I don't always understand the principles at play, which I'd love to understand a little bit more. Like I read them, I take them in, and then I just kind of like completely forget about them. So if you're someone who is curious about color like I am, and you have a strategy for how you think about color in terms of either color theory or some other theory, I'd love to know in the comments, because yeah, it's fascinating to me. I just haven't quite figured out the, what do you call those things? Like the shorthand to help me remember what I need to remember about color to help me make some of those choices. So anyway, I'd love to know. So that's my Gartrell sweater that I'm working on for the little granddaughter. I think I'll finish the front tonight and the sleeves this week. So I think it'll be all done. I had to start over. I'm a little behind. I told my daughter-in-law it would probably take me a week, and I think it should have. But I'm a little behind because I actually knit almost this much of the body before I was like in the size down. I think it was like the 4 to 6 size, before I was like, maybe a little too small. I don't want to risk it. So that's when I kind of set that aside and just cast on again for the 6 to 8 size. So yeah, I think it'll work out. I'm pretty excited to see it all put together. I'm kind of thinking about how fun it would be to knit Spencer a rainbow sweater. So you might see Spencer in a rainbow sweater. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see Spencer in a rainbow sweater. We'll see what we can do about that. No promises though. Yeah, so Gartrell underway. The other thing I did this week is the test knit, which is over there. I can't say anything about it yet, but I thought I'd just kind of like float it around in the background. It's a beautiful sweater. And I picked up my needle felting again, which is something that I love to do, but I don't often make the time for it because I'm busy knitting or working or doing all kinds of farm projects with Spencer. So yeah, when I finally get back to it, it's always fun. So for those of you who have tuned in for a while, you've seen a couple of my previous needle felting projects. This is the latest one. I think this is like my 4th maybe. So I haven't been doing this very long. So that's why I've been told that they're cool, but also that my designs are kind of cool, but also like I'd love to know, I keep wanting to learn more about like how to make them better. And I think the last one I showed you guys, it was a mountain lake scene, and I wanted to go back and do some embroidery on it to kind of like make everything pop out. Because I used to do counted cross stitch before I took up knitting, before Zach was born, so a long time ago. And of course with counted cross stitch, one of the things you do is after you're done with the cross stitching, you go back and you do all your embroidery and your embellishments. And that really just, if you've ever done counted cross stitch, you know that that's kind of what makes something pop off the linen or whatever it is that you're cross stitching onto. So this is an ocean scene that it's still on my board, obviously. And for those of you who are new to needle felting, it doesn't take too many tools or special things. Big piece of foam, I just use a single needle right now. I know this thing looks like death, but it's not too scary as long as you don't stab yourself too hard. And then I use wool felt back, and you can see it's a pretty thin piece of wool that I just lay on the board. And then you're basically just using your needle to, stab it. Not in the air like that, and probably not just on your lap, but if you do it on your lap, put something underneath the board just so you don't stab yourself. And then I've just gotten a couple of, one of these was gifted to me by my mom, so I just have a bunch of little pieces of wool that you can use for felting. You do need wool to felt. There are some synthetic fibers that will felt, but wool is always good for felting. And this isn't wet felting, this is just dry. Some people call it wool painting, needle felting, things like that. So these are some of my colors. I have one other box that's like this, so it's not that much woolly wool. It's just, you need a bunch of colors, that makes it easier. And then I like to just go and find really beautiful, right now I'm working on landscapes because that just seemed like a place to start for my brain. So I go find pictures that I really love, and I just start trying to recreate them. And I've watched a few tutorials and I've gotten a few kits. The kits were great. I just wanted to do my own thing, so this is my own thing. I will show you, I'll put a picture in here of the original picture so that you can see what I was kind of working from or towards, however you figure it. And one of the things I really like is the idea of blending these colors. Like, to get the sky, it's not just blue. It's like, it makes you look at the world so different. So whenever I'm outside now, I look at the sky and I think to myself, oh, it's like a certain kind of blue up high, and then as it gets lower, it turns into this kind of like different blue, and sometimes it has purple in it. It's like this idea of like seeing the mixture of colors all around you, which is kind of fun. And this one, I had done all the background needle felting, and then I needed to do something for the ocean water. So I'll insert a little bit of a clip here of me working on this. I had some mohair lying around. I know, I always have mohair lying around from my, what sweater was it? It was a beautiful Henley. I can't think of the name of it. I'll put it on the screen. I'll put a picture in or something. So I had some mohair left over from that, and I thought, it was sitting right next to my needle felting one day, and I thought, oh, that might work for like texture on the ocean. So I decided to add this mohair in to kind of represent the water and try to do a few waves. I'm not, like I said, I'm new, trying to figure out different kinds of things with this spatially, how to get some 3D texture and things like that. So that's kind of what I'm playing with on this one. Just playing around with you can see that the rocks kind of like stick out a little bit, and I tried to get the water to felt down a little bit more. So I don't know, I kind of like that. I could imagine doing some more felting on top of this. It's not totally tacked down yet. Some people like to really tack it all down. Some people like to leave it a little more wispy and 3D. So I don't know who I am as a needle felter yet. I haven't quite figured that out. But I do like playing around with it just to see what the possibilities are. So in this particular case, the rocks, I kind of felted around the edges, leaving them kind of puffy so that it's a little more 3D. And then I did all the coloring for the water underneath and just plain felt, and then added the mohair on top and added a little bit of extra kind of like height and depth to it just to try to go for a little texture. So anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at with this one. I haven't finished it yet. When you finish it, it's so satisfying. I really almost want to just do it. You pull it off the board and you can see all the little fibery bits that get stuck. That doesn't do anything. If I pull it off right now, it's no problem. I can just like do a couple stabs of the needle and it's just sticking back down again. So I think needle felting is really fun. I love these landscapes. I haven't, what I really want to do are like the 3-dimensional sculptures. I don't think I have an eye for that kind of thing. Like some of those artists are like, I have a piece of marble and the thing is just calling out to me, or like the chainsaw artists who have like a log and they're like, I know exactly what it needs to be, and like I'm not that way. But I do admire the 3D sculptures very much. That's kind of like top of my list. So I hope to get there someday. For now, I'm happy with these and playing around with the texture and stuff. So yeah, if anybody's interested in trying something new, I know a couple people in the Zoom group are taking up crochet. And I know some others who are starting to sew for the first time, or, like all these other different kinds of crafts, like pottery or whatever. Even if you don't know if you're going to be good at it, or if you don't even know how to do it, obviously, just try it, especially some of these that have a pretty low entry point where you don't need a lot of supplies and you don't really need a lot of, like, I don't even know, like, it's not like this thing where you have to have a lot of talent. You can just do it. It's just fun. Make pictures for yourself. So I would just encourage you to try it. I always say that on this particular podcast, like, I'm always trying new things and telling you if they do or don't work out. So I hope you're trying new things, and then you can report back and let us all know if it did or didn't work out, because it's not going to work out every time, but sometimes it does, and it's really fun when it does. So that's my colorful life right now. I have a bag full of rainbow yarn and a box full of woolly bits, and yeah, I'm just having some fun with it. And remember, if you want to pick up some fiber from the Flock Farm Yarn Shop, I have the new Georgia Rustic Wool Gulf Coast Native Breed Specific fiber over there for spinning, and I have Leaf Livestock's fiber, just a little bit left. So those are both great rovings, or I don't think I have any top left. It's all roving. I have roving, great roving for spinning if you're interested. And if you want to take one of those online classes with me, head over to knittingthestash.com and use the code SUMMERSCHOOL to get a discount on your first or second or third class with me. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go finish my rainbows. I hope you have a good weekend ahead of you. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.